he set up a social network called Truth Social, which is basically
Twitter.
It's Twitter, but it was Twitter before Musk.
He got kicked off Twitter, so he set up his own version of Twitter.
In many ways, your lives are parallel. Your life is similar to Donald Trump. He got kicked off Twitter, as all the best people are, Nick. And he set up Truth Social, which doesn't have that many people on it at the moment. I think a few million, I'm not sure.
It has. It's extremely American orientated.
Right.
So it has, tens, if not hundreds of millions of people in America on it.
Right.
But hardly anybody in the UK.
Right.
So when it first came out, I joined, and I could not get over 54 followers.
Really?
And I spent 6 months on it.
Yeah. Is that because most of the people are in America?
No Americans. Who cares about this English guy in Manchester trying to run for mayor? So I ended up deleting it. But I believe it's very big in America.
Yeah.
And all the Trump supporters are on it because he's the main man on Truth Social.
So probably most Republicans are on Truth Social. But anyway, he floated it on the New York Stock Exchange, and it floated at, believe it or not, $5.5 billion value. So why I think this is really interesting is not celebrating Trump making another 5.5 billion. And by the way, he hasn't, because I think there's certain restrictions about when he can crystallise his shares and things.
And he only owns 60%.
He only owns 60% of it, which is still a substantial amount. But it just happened at the time that he needed $400 million. There's a bail bond relating to this. Is it a case in New York? I think it is.
Some civil case.
Yeah, some civil case in New York. And I just thought, when I read it, I thought, you just can't keep this guy down, can you? Even when he's under that much pressure, having to find $500 million, suddenly he manages to make another $5.5 billion to help him support that. And in fact, the $400 million he had to find was reduced to $170 million or something as well. So, which is peanuts to somebody like him as well. And I just thought, when I read this, is this what's going to happen? He's just going to keep going, and he's just going to win the presidency. Where are you on that now? Because I think last time we spoke on this, you weren't sure where he was going to be in the presidential election, or maybe you were.
I'm pretty sure he's going to win. I don't know if he's got it yet, but it looks like he's going to get the nomination, Republican nomination, and it looks like Biden is going to stand again. Trump has to win, and I think the reason why Truth Social has done so well is because the people who are buying it or floating, they all want Trump to win. So half the population of America actually want him to win and will do anything to keep him in the race. So I'm not too sure he's got the golden finger, because several of his businesses have gone bust in the past and stuff like that, which, nothing wrong in that. That's what happens to business people. You take chances, you buy. Not everything works. No one's that clever where everything they do works. But I think the success of Truth Social is a validation of him, his policies, and what he wants to do. So I don't think the people would allow it to fail. That's why it's done so well.
So you think its success it's the other way around, rather than it being successful because he's successful and things it's being successful because the people want him to win the election, so they have then invested in the actual stock as a result of that. Because I like to think the Americans have a real sense of, I don't know anymore, I have made these sweeping statements about countries. I like to think they have a sense of fair play and free speech in America. And I think the reason he is ahead of Biden in the polls now is because people are seeing what the Democrats are doing to him in terms of these legal cases, these massive, ridiculous bail figures.
That's still working, actually.
And I think they just think it's unfair. I think they think he's being treated badly, unfairly. They think it's an abuse of legislation, and they are reacting to that. I think that's what's happening here.
I think most decent, middle-of-the-road people think that. So he could commit a horrendous crime and his base would still vote for him. He could turn out to be a literal saint, and the other half of the country, the Democrats, would hate him anyway and think he's the Antichrist. It's that slim bit in the middle.
Correct.
They're the bits that you have to in any general election. You've got to persuade the middle bit. You've already got your two ends will always vote for what they want to vote for, and I think that sense of fair play plays on them, because they're looking at the man, the way he's being treated, and they're going, that's not fair. And I think all Western countries think that Western people have all got a sense of fair play, and they can tell when someone's being treated unfairly, and also when you seem to be the David to the Goliath, where you're sticking up for the small people.
Yeah.
So
and he's a bizarre David, isn't he? Because he's a David who is really a Goliath as well, isn't he? I mean, he's far more powerful and successful and wealthy than any of his Democratic opponents. But
he speaks more like a normal person.
Yeah.
As in crude, little bit vulgar, no P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it, in your face. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
He's not a polished politician.
Yeah.
That's why he did so well to begin with.
Yeah.
And now he seems. I'm not saying he is. He seems to be always fighting for the small people.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a strange character, isn't he? But I was thrilled when I saw it because I felt he'd been treated so badly in that legal case and that $400 million he had to find. I thought it was outrageous.
Well, he would have won the last election if it wasn't for two things. If it wasn't for COVID, and it wasn't for shutting down the story about Biden's son.
Oh, right.
If it wasn't for COVID ruining the economy, when he picked it all up, that damaged him. And then Biden's son, who is on video with prostitutes sniffing cocaine and doing all these and multi-billion-pound deals and backhanders to his daddy. But the FBI all said, this is Russian propaganda, none of it's true, so we're not telling anybody.
Yeah.
People who mentioned it online got their accounts frozen.
Yes.
And this was all a couple of weeks before the election. It turns out it's all true.
All true, yeah. This is all true.
Yeah.
And that is reminiscent to me of, we're going to move on to a certain Russian in a minute, but what's been happening in America, in my view, is similar to what's happened in third world countries, where we're seeing elections rigged, we're seeing opponents either jailed or legislated out of the opposition. I think it's just happened. I can't remember. I think it might have been in Venezuela recently. There was an election, and the main opponent, an 80-year-old woman, I can't remember her name, was actually wasn't able to register because the computer to register, as you're doing now with your mayoral, didn't allow her to register the day before the election, so she couldn't actually stand. So what we're seeing in America at the moment, to me, is reminiscent of these third world countries where, but not what they call banana republics, where basically the opposition is stifled by illegal means, basically. I think that's what's happening in America.
I would say to a certain extent there's always been corruption in most elections at a certain level. I think it feels like the corruption's increased, but because of social media we talk about it a lot more. If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.